You think you know people. You think you can read them. But the truth is, you've been manipulated your entire life and you didn't even notice. Every smile, every favor, every friendship has a shadow side that most people are too naive to see. The darkness in others is the same darkness hiding inside you. Robert Greene spent decades studying the patterns of power, seduction, and human nature. What he discovered is uncomfortable. It's disturbing. And it will change how you see every single person in your life, including yourself. Power, control, manipulation. Today, we're going to expose the dark side of human nature, not to make you paranoid, but to make you aware. Because the person who understands these shadows doesn't become their victim, they become their master. The mask we wear. Here's a truth that will sting. You're not who you think you are, neither is anyone else. Every single day we put on masks. We perform versions of ourselves that we believe others want to see. The friendly coworker, the supportive friend, the loving partner. But beneath every mask lies something darker. Robert Greene calls this the shadow self. It's the collection of desires, fears, and impulses we hide because society told us they are unacceptable. We are all wearing masks, and the time comes when we cannot remove them without removing some of our own skin. Think about the last time you smiled at someone you secretly resented. The last time you said yes when your entire being screamed no. That's your mask working overtime. The problem isn't that we wear masks. The problem is that we forget we're wearing them. We start believing our own performance. And when we can't see our own mask, we definitely can't see anyone else's. Facade, truth hidden. But what happens when you finally look beneath the surface? Envy's poison. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When your friend succeeds, do you feel genuine happiness or a tiny sting of something else? Be honest. That sting has a name. Envy. And it's one of the most destructive forces in human nature that nobody wants to admit they feel. Greene identifies envy as the emotion we're most ashamed of because it reveals our deepest insecurities. We don't envy strangers who win the lottery. We envy people close to us who achieve what we secretly want. Your closest friends are often your biggest envy triggers. Here's where it gets darker. Envious people rarely attack directly. They undermine. They give backhanded compliments. They subtly discourage you from pursuing your dreams while pretending to support you. Envy is the art of counting the other fellow's blessings instead of your own. If this is resonating with you and making you see certain people differently, hit like and subscribe because we're about to go even deeper. The question isn't whether people envy you. The question is who and what they are doing about it in the shadows. Narcissism epidemic. We throw around the word narcissist like it only applies to obvious egomaniacs. But Greene reveals something more disturbing. We all exist on a spectrum of narcissism. Every single one of us. The difference is degree and awareness. Deep narcissism makes people incapable of genuine empathy. They see others as extensions of themselves, objects to fulfill their needs. They charm, they seduce, they make you feel like the most important person in the world, until you're not useful anymore. Disposable. Then you're discarded without a second thought. But here's the twist. The most dangerous narcissists often appear humble. They've learned to mimic empathy, to say the right words, to perform caring perfectly. Greene warns that these covert narcissists are everywhere. Your boss, your partner, maybe even you on your worst days. The only protection is radical self-awareness. Can you admit when you're only thinking about yourself? Can you catch yourself manipulating? That uncomfortable honesty is your shield against becoming what you fear. Aggression hidden. Humans are aggressive, period. We've just learned to hide it beneath layers of civilization and politeness. But repressed aggression doesn't disappear. It transforms. Greene identifies what he calls passive aggression as the most common disguise. The coworker who forgets to CC you on important emails. The partner who gives you the silent treatment instead of expressing anger directly. The friend who's chronically late, subtly showing you that your time doesn't matter. Silent war, hidden attack. These aren't accidents. They are warfare dressed up as carelessness. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. But here's what most people miss. Your own repressed aggression is leaking out too. Every time you swallow your anger instead of addressing it, it finds another exit. Sarcasm, procrastination, sabotaging your own success because you're really angry at someone else. Greene argues that channeled aggression becomes ambition, drive, creative force, but denied aggression becomes poison, and that poison spreads in ways you can't even see. Seduction tactics. Every interaction is a form of seduction, not just romantic ones. When you want something from someone, you seduce. You present your best self. You mirror their interests. You create an emotional connection designed to get a specific result. Greene spent an entire book on this because seduction is the invisible thread running through all human relationships. People are constantly trying to influence your emotions to get what they want. The master seducers know something most people don't. Seduction isn't about you. It's about making the other person feel seen, understood, special. Politicians do this with crowds. Salespeople do this with customers. Charismatic people do this instinctively. You've been seduced more times than you can count. But the dark side is when seduction becomes manipulation without consent. When someone learns your insecurities just to exploit them. When they create false intimacy to extract value. When the entire relationship was a calculated performance from day one. People's need for validation and recognition is the greatest manipulator of them all. Understanding seduction doesn't make you a manipulator. It makes you immune to manipulation. Power dynamics. Power exists in every relationship whether you acknowledge it or not. The friend who always chooses the restaurant. The partner who controls the emotional temperature of your home. The colleague who somehow always gets credit for group work. These aren't coincidences. They're power plays. Greene's 48 laws of power weren't written to create manipulators. They were written to expose what was already happening. Control, influence, dominance. Most people are uncomfortable with the word power. They associate it with corruption, with evil. But avoiding power doesn't make it disappear. It just means someone else is wielding it over you. The truly powerful understand a paradox. The most effective power is often invisible. It's the ability to get what you want while making others feel like it was their idea. It's influence without force. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Greene argues that denying your desire for power is the most dangerous position of all. You become prey for those who have no such denial. And in this world, predators are always watching. Self-sabotage. Here's perhaps the darkest truth of all. Your biggest enemy isn't out there. It's inside your own mind. Greene identifies what he calls the shadow self as the source of our most destructive behaviors. Self-sabotage, procrastination, choosing partners who hurt us, destroying opportunities right when success is within reach. Self-destruct. Why would we do this to ourselves? Because the shadow contains everything we've rejected about who we are. If you were told ambition was selfish, your shadow sabotages your career. If you were told you don't deserve love, your shadow destroys your relationships. You are unconsciously recreating the pain you know, because it feels like home. The pattern is invisible until you see it. Then you can't unsee it. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Greene's work shows that the shadow isn't your enemy. It's your rejected self asking to be acknowledged. Integrate it, and you reclaim power you didn't know you had. Deny it, and it will destroy everything you try to build. Tribal instinct. You like to think you're an individual, making your own choices, forming your own opinions. But Greene reveals an uncomfortable truth. We're all tribal creatures running on ancient programming. The need to belong overrides almost everything else. We unconsciously adopt the beliefs of our group. We attack outsiders to prove our loyalty. We sacrifice our authentic selves to maintain our place in the tribe. Conform, belong, survive. Think about the last time you stayed silent when your group said something you disagreed with. That's tribal programming overriding your individual judgment. Your opinions might not even be your own. Social media has amplified this 1,000-fold. We perform for our digital tribes, curating opinions that will earn approval. We attack anyone who threatens our tribe's narrative. We become soldiers in wars we never consciously chose. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Greene warns that until you recognize your tribal programming, you're not thinking, you're just repeating. True independence requires the courage to stand alone when everyone else is running in the same direction. Rationalization. Here's something that should terrify you. Your rational mind is mostly a PR department for your unconscious desires. Greene shows how we decide emotionally first, then construct logical justifications afterward. Every time, your reasons are usually rationalizations in disguise. You didn't leave that job because of growth opportunities. You left because your ego couldn't handle your boss. You didn't end that relationship because you grew apart. You ended it because someone newer caught your attention. You don't support that political position because you've carefully analyzed the evidence. You support it because your tribe does. This isn't cynicism. It's recognition. The human mind is a storytelling machine that makes us the hero of every narrative, even when we're clearly the villain. Nothing is easier than self-deceit. For what each man wishes, that he also believes to be true. Greene argues that intellectual honesty is the rarest quality precisely because it requires admitting things we desperately don't want to be true. But without it, we're just sophisticated animals telling ourselves sophisticated lies, using the dark. So what do you do with all this darkness? Here's where Greene's work transforms from disturbing to liberating. The darkness isn't the problem. Denial of the darkness is the problem. What you refuse to see in yourself controls you completely. When you acknowledge your own capacity for envy, it loses its power over you. When you admit your aggressive impulses, you can channel them productively. When you see your seductive tendencies, you can use them ethically. When you recognize your tribal programming, you can actually think independently. The integrated person isn't someone who's eliminated their shadow. They are someone who's made peace with it. They use their darkness as fuel rather than letting it drive from the backseat. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is the ultimate lesson from Robert Greene's work. Human nature is dark. Accept it, understand it, and then use it. Not to manipulate others, but to stop being manipulated yourself. Not to become a predator, but to stop being prey. Aware, armed, free. The darkness was never your enemy. Your ignorance of it was. You now see what most people spend their entire lives blind to. The masks, the envy, the hidden aggression, the seduction, the power games, the self-sabotage, the tribal programming, the endless rationalization. This is human nature in its raw, uncomfortable truth. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. But knowledge alone changes nothing. What matters is what you do with it. Starting today, watch yourself. Catch your masks. Notice your envy, feel your repressed aggression, see your seductive patterns, acknowledge your desire for power, stop sabotaging yourself, question your tribal loyalties, challenge your rationalizations. If you made it this far, comment shadow integrated to prove you're among the few willing to face the darkness. See no master transcend. The darkness in human nature isn't going anywhere, but now you can see it. And what you can see, you can use. Your mind is either controlled by shadows or illuminated by awareness. Now you know which path leads where. If this changed how you see yourself and others, hit like and subscribe for more uncomfortable truths that set you free.